Hey there everybody, welcome along to the first video in a brand new series that's going to be appearing on the channel over the course of the year of our Lord 2024. My name is Andy, better known on YouTube as The Uncommentator. Just for full disclosure, I'm recording this on January the 28th, 2024, so the day after Cody Rhodes won his second consecutive Royal Rumble. Now by the time this gets on YouTube, I'm hoping that's not going to be a massive spoiler. In fact, by the time this gets on YouTube, we'll probably have finished the old story there. But anyway, the reason why I'm making wrestling references, for those of you that haven't figured it out yet, is because the game I'm going to be playing through, another clue is actually on the screen, is going to be Extreme Warfare Revenge, which is a wrestling-related game. Now, for those of you that don't know how this game works, I'm going to introduce that in this video and possibly the next video. So the first couple of videos of this series are just going to be about getting the games, what we're going to be doing set up, and then after that we'll actually get into the game itself. So this is going to be a slightly different series to what we're used to on the channel. If you are indeed a long-term viewer, if you are, thank you very much. If you're a new viewer, then welcome along. So normally when I play through a game, I actually play through a game that's got an end point. So I'll play through it, get to the end, and blah blah blah, and then we'll move on to the next one. This game's slightly different in that it doesn't really have an end point. It's also the first time I'm going to be playing through a PC game. So for those two reasons and another reason, I wasn't sure whether to actually do this series or not. But you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. Which could be could appear on a T-shirt maybe. Anywho, yeah, the other reason why I wasn't sure about whether to do this game or not is because there's no actual background noise to this game. So if you can't hear anything in the background at the minute, what I'm going to be doing throughout the series, I'm going to be playing old episodes of WCW Thunder and Nitro in the background. So the current episode that's playing in the background you can hear, 10 points if you've figured it out already, is the Nitro straight after Bash at the Beach 98. So why you'd know that from the sound, I don't know, but that's what you can hear in the background of what I'm talking over. Anyway, so let's quickly introduce, as I said, the game and the series. So what we're going to be doing in this series is we're going to be booking a calendar year's worth of wrestling shows. So that's what we're going to be doing. As I said, I'm hopefully the content of which will translate well into YouTube. Whether it will or not, I don't know. And the storylines and things I'm going to try and do will hopefully be intriguing enough that people will keep returning back to see what happens. In my tiny brain, that's the objective. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. The company I'm going to be is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. There's a reason for that, which I'll go into when I'm actually setting the game up properly. And yeah, so we're just going to book a year of PWG and see what happens. That's essentially what's going to happen in this series. Before we do that, though, I just want to quickly talk about the game in more general terms. So this game is quite an old game. It was developed by a guy called Adam Ryland, as again you may guess there from the screen. And I was first exposed to this game back in 2002. I think that was version 3. So there was version 1, Extreme Warfare Revenge, then version 2, version 3, and then version 4. It's amazing how numbers work. And I think version 4, which is what this is, I believe that came out, could be totally wrong here, but I think it was around WrestleMania 19. So around March, April 2003. Because I'm nearly certain when you start that game, Brock Lesnar and Triple H are the world champions. But again, I may be totally wrong on that one. But it was something like that. Then there were a few updates done by Adam. I think it got up to 4.2. I'm sure they were updates that he did rather than the fan base did. So the version I've got here is 4.2. But because the way this game works, and because of the loyal fan base that this game has, many people have kept this game up to date, and there are versions out there on the internet that you can find that are really bang up to date. This version's not bang up to date, just for full disclosure. So this version that I've got here is roughly around the time that AW Dynamite started. So the AW are on this game, even though they were formed in 2019. As I said, in this game, I'm sure came out around 2003. So that just gives you an idea as to how people can and have kept this game up to date. I've not done this. This is somebody else's work. So yeah, so the reason why I've chosen to start around this period is because of a couple of reasons. One, wrestling fans love nostalgia. That's the first reason. And the second, and there's other reasons actually, which I'm not going to say because there's this very specific reason which I'll get into when it happens. Something's going to happen when we start the game, and I'll mention it then. But anyway, Yeah, plus I thought it might be nice to start around the time that company started, because that was the first real competition that WWE had for a hell of a long time, really, when you probably since WCW went out of business. Anyway, so that's a little bit of backstory about the series and the game. So before we actually go into playing the game, what I actually want to do is go into the file editor, because this is how people have kept this game up to date and continue to do so. Probably up to the present day. So let's go into the file editor. I loathe to use the term modded because it makes me sick in my mouth, but I guess that's what people have done. So this is where, if you're interested and you have the time and patience, which some people have, to keep this game up to date, this is where you do it. So I'm just going to quickly go through each, apart from the analysis, I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm just going to quickly go through each tab. So we're going to workers. White defaults to Chris Jericho, I don't know, but this is where obviously the wrestlers themselves are. So if you wanted to create new wrestlers, you go up to new here. Wanted to remove wrestlers from the database, then you just click delete. So if you didn't like Ace Hawkins, for example, you can just click delete and he will disappear. So you wanted to add new wrestlers, so I think some who won't be on this game. Hook potentially may not be on this game because he's fairly young and fairly new to the mainstream audience. Then you just click new and put all his stats and age, blah 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 in. Also within this you can edit stats, so let's again just pick somebody random. So AJ Pereira. So if you click on edit worker statistics, if you think AJ Pereira is a much better brawl than 39, then you'd move the slider up or not, move it down. And again, you can do that with all the stats. Now for some reason on older versions of this game, you could see the stiffness and selling stat, but on version 4, for some reason you can't see that. I don't know why that was changed to be hidden. Perhaps to make the game a bit more difficult. I don't know, but I thought it was useful to be able to see the stiffness and selling statistic. They can change, but you don't see them anyway. That's by the by. The other thing you do on here is keep things up to date in terms of who works for who. So if we go to Adam Cole, who's nearby, I believe, yeah, there's Adam Cole. So I think he's still WWE at this point. You can see there he's in the Undisputed Era stable, so he will be. So if we wanted to move him to AEW, we just go into here, and this will pop up. And again, Employee 1, WWE, so you just change that to AEW. So you can do that for anybody. Or if you want to make your own roster, I know some people have played through this game recreating WCW, so you'd make WCW a promotion and then put the roster back together. So that's how you do that. So that's the workers tab. That's really the main one, I suppose, if you want to keep this game up to date. Next one is promotions. I mean, to be fair, these are all very similar, so I'm just going to quickly whiz through these. This is really for people that don't really know anything about this game. If you don't fall into the category, then you may want to skip on. It's up to you, unless you want to be ramble on. So this is where promotions are. So again, if a promotion goes out of business, you can delete them. So if PWG, which I'm going to be when we start playing the game, went out of business, you just click delete and that'd get rid of them. Likewise, when I create a new promotion, just trying to think of a promotion. If there's a promotion that I can't see on there, that's not New Japan Pro Wrestling, just to be clear. Even though it says NJPW, the Japanese promotions work slightly different on this game. But again, I'll go into that later on. But if you wanted to be a Japanese promotion, then you just click new. But you can't pick Japan off the list. So yeah, that's not that really matters. It doesn't really affect anything. But yeah, so that's how you just click new and then fill all this in and decide how much money you want to start with, blah blah blah, how big you are, all the other good stuff. So we'll come out of that. Staff, very similar to workers. So if you're going to move people about, do whatever you wanted to do. So let's just pick somebody at random. Taz, is Taz on the staff? I don't know. Or is he a non-wrestler? That's a bad example. Todd Grisham, there we go. People know who he is. So he's currently unemployed, but if he went back to WWE for whatever reason, or if they rehired him, you just change it to WWE. That's how you do that. I'm trying to think of something that's moved since this game came out. It is 5 years old. No, I can't think of it. But anyway, yeah. So again, new, create something new, move people about, whatever you want to do. Owners, again, why you need to go into this, I don't know, but I suppose you could do. So, for example, let's use Billy Corgan. So you can see that Billy Corgan says that owner, employee none, obviously owns NWA now, so you'd add him to NWA. if you wanted to. Although looking at this, it's blanked out, so I don't. Maybe you can't edit this bit. So ignore everything I just said. Don't worry, we'll edit that out. Must be on the other screen. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. Yeah, belts again, very similar. So you can change who a champion is. You can add new ones. So at the time this game came out, Kofi Kingston was WWE World Champion. So that again ages the game. Well, I say this game came out. Whoever edited this game. So if you wanted to, so let's say Kane won the title, you click on Kane, and that would then mean every time you start a new game, Kane would be World Champion. And again, like you can add new, remove belts. So I think the WWE Women's Tag belts are not on this game. Oh no, they are. I couldn't remember when they came into existence. To be honest with you, but obviously it's. God, they're more than 5 years old. Flipping heck, we really are. We're all going to die soon, aren't we? When you think about that. But anyway, let's not worry too much about that. Let's move on quickly. Events. So again, this is just pay-per-views, premium live events, whatever you want to call them. So when new events get created, you can add them in here or remove ones if they don't run anymore. So I'm trying to think of one that may not exist anymore. I was going to looking for Backlash. I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So that's where you do that. So again, new, delete, whatever you want to do. Tag teams. Again, fairly obvious. So if you wanted to mess about with one, so a boy and his dinosaur, so they don't team up anymore, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, Luchasaurus isn't called Luchasaurus, but you change that in the workers file editor. So we could just delete them. We could untick them, so they're still on the game, but they're not active. I do quite like doing that actually, just to keep sort of the history of tag teams. Rather than split them up, actually make them inactive. Oh, nearly done. Stables, very similar to tag teams. Again, add people, remove them. Let's have a look at Chaos. So Kazuchika Okada, for example, leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, he may have already left by the time this comes out. So again, if you wanted to remove him, you just click. Would you click delete? I don't know. Oh, no, there you go. Remove. I've never used the file editor. I'm going to be honest. So I'm probably not the best person to be talking through it. But there you go. So you pick Okada and then remove him and click OK, and he'd disappear. Delete would delete the whole stable. So if Chaos ever split up, which they may do, don't know, no idea. Anyway, let's move on. TV networks. I don't think we edit TV networks yet. So this is where you can add or remove TV networks. So this is what hosts the weekly shows. Some of this will make more sense when we actually start playing the game properly. Television. Television. So these are the actual TV shows that are currently on the game and who the companies are. So again, if Raw ever got cancelled, heaven forbid, then they won't be able to wheel off the weekly episodic start that they like to do. Then you just delete Raw. You can see that there's no NWA Power, for example. So again, you just click New, add NWA Power. In fact, I don't think NWA is even on this game because I don't know when it started, but maybe I can't remember, to be honest with you. I do have a version that NWA is on it. Alter Egos. So this is where you will see some wrestlers under. It'll just show their different names. So Fire Ant, is that? Oh yeah, so it is Orange Cassidy. So yeah, so Fire Ant. Before Orange Cassidy became Orange Cassidy, or was more well known as Orange Cassidy, was known as Fire Ant. I think in Chikara. I don't quote me on that. Maybe totally wrong. But you can see there. I thought there were more than that actually, but obviously not all on there. But yeah, if you wanted to add Alter Ego, so talking about Luchasaurus earlier, if you wanted to add Kill Switch here, then this is where you do that. Relationships. This seems to have changed over time. So this is where you'd add. This is where you'd add relationships. So we see there Becky and Seth Rollins, fairly well known that they're married. So you can see they're a love relationship. There are others. So blood relatives. So Jimmy and Jey Uso will be on here. People that dislike, friendship, hate, love, loyalty. Now this does actually affect. This seems pointless, but this may seem a little bit pointless, but when you play the game, relationships do actually play a part, or can play a part. Particularly dislike ones. Dislike and hate can actually cause a bit of a problem sometimes. Although, as I said, over time, a lot of these relationships seem to have disappeared. So, I remember way back in the day, there was when old version of this game. I remember I remember, for example, when Bret Hart was on this game, he had a hate. One of his relationships was hate Goldberg, for obvious reasons. I mean, there were plenty of others that fell into that category. Not that hated Goldberg. I mean, that that dislike and hate relationship. I mean, I think it was Shawn Michaels as well was another one before they sort of reconciled. But anyway, yeah, if you wanted to add dislikes or likes or whatever you wanted to do, this is where you do that. And last but not least, sponsors. So again, sponsors provide money for provide money. Again, we'll get into that when we get into the game. So if you wanted to add a company onto here or delete a company, so if Pepsi went bust, which is unlikely, obviously, then you delete them. Or you could add new ones on, like, I'm loath to say it, but Prime. I suppose if you wanted to add Prime on, then you do that here. Don't know why that was the first example I could think of. But yeah, so that's the file editor. So that is that's how you'd keep this game up to date if indeed you wanted to do that. Obviously, as I said, people out there have, and I'm very grateful for that because it means people like me that are pretty lazy but want to keep playing this game don't have to worry too much about that because other people do it for you, which is all very well and good. Right, so let's start the game. And once we've done that, I may split this into two videos actually because I've already been rabbiting on for nearly 17 minutes. So if we just click back. So if we were going to start a new game, which we're not going to, and then I'll explain why in a second, then we'd go into new game. So we'll put in our, again, we don't need to do this, but we'll put in our name. Let's put the UC. Don't want to type it out in full. Let's put Andy. Why not? Not that it matters because we're not going to start the game, as I said. So you pick the difficulty. Now, the difficulty doesn't matter too much potentially, although I've never actually played on rock hard, so don't really know what the difference is. I know one thing though: the morale stat. If you play it on a harder difficulty, you can't see the morale stat. Now that is another. It's important that you keep the morale stat of the wrestlers up because that can lead you to getting fired, which is when the game. I think the only way this game ends is if you get fired. I don't know if I would have said that or no. I can't remember, but this game doesn't really end unless. I'm sure the only way this game ends is if you get fired. Other than that, I think this game potentially could go on forever. So this is where you do. So this is where you pick how difficult you want, pick the promotion that you want to start with. So I'm going to be PWG, who are here, and it shows you there the roster that they've got and staff and belts and TV, how much money they'll start with. So if you weren't sure what you wanted to be and you wanted to base it on what was there, you just work through the. You could just work through the promotions looking to see who's got what. As I said, I'm not going to start a new game, and the reason for that is because when you start a new game on this game, the first date is the first of the month after the day in real life that you start it in. So because this is January 2024, if I click start new game now, then the first day of the new game will be February 1st of February 2024. Now, I want this game to run from January through to January. So, well, January through to December, essentially. So, I started a game in December of 2023. So then we could start. So when I started recording, it would be January 24. So let's load that game up now. So if we click on load game, so you can see here. I did a couple of test runs just to see if some things were going to happen that I thought would, and just to get an idea as to how difficult or easy this may be. And it went pretty well. I didn't do the entire year, so there are some things that I'm going to recreate, and some things that I'll have to come up with new things because I think I did about 3 months worth, so which isn't a great deal really. But you can see they're the PWG games. They're the games that I was playing through. I was playing through back in the day, so they're quite old files. I won't have looked at it for a while. Anyway, so PWG recording. Let's go into that one because this is the one that we're going to be playing. Okay, so you can see there at the top it is the 1st of January 2024, as I said. So we're going to be recording. We're going to be playing this up until the 31st of December 2024. Now, because it's the 1st of January 2024. When you hit that date, you get this list come up. Top 100 workers of the year. So that's the reason why this is coming. So this won't come up again throughout this series. And it's just I don't know what it's based on. I think it's some kind of combination of overness and the highest stat that the wrestler's got. So if a wrestler's got a stat, so Daniel Bryan, for example, his submission stat will be really, really high. Or sorry, his technical stat will be really, really high. Is it technical or is it? I can't remember what it's called. which is good. Anyway, move on. Plus, he'll be quite over, so that's probably why he's number one. So you can see there, that's why a lot of WWE wrestlers are quite high up, because they'll all be quite over. And they will all have at least one particularly high stat. So John Cena, for example, won't have particularly high stats on average, but he'll have one high stat, like charisma, will be particularly high. And obviously he's quite over, so that's why he's quite high up on the list. Again, I'm not really sure how this is decided, but yeah, that's what this is basically. So, do we have anybody on from PWG? I've just seen Will Ospreay, who's on the PWG roster, so he's on there at least, so that's good. I'm not going to flick through the whole thing, but yeah, at least we've got one person on there. So sometimes it's interesting to see if you can get people onto that list. At least I find it anyway. So yeah, so that is so that's that. So let's get rid of that. So this is the PWG hub, but I'm going to talk about, given the fact we're 20 minutes into this video, I'm going to talk about this in the next video. So in the next video, I'm going to be introducing how this game works more specifically, and then we'll actually start booking and hopefully start creating some enthralling television. That's the objective. But yeah, so that's just a brief, well, say brief, that was meant to be a little brief introduction into Extreme Warfare Revenge and the series and what's going to happen in the series. So if you did enjoy this video, then please like and share the video. You can also leave a comment on the video should you choose to do that. While here on YouTube, if you head on over to the channel, The Commentator, you'll find the rest of the videos in this playlist when they eventually appear on YouTube. You'll also find a myriad of other games I've played through, none of which are PC based because this is going to be the first one. So if you want to go and check out my N64 games that I played through, PS1, PS2, Sega Mega Drive / Genesis, please go and check those out and support the channel by giving me a subscribe. That'd be fantastic. But join me next time. We're going to be moving on. We're going to be actually playing Extreme Warfare Revenge for the first time and getting things rocking and rolling. But until we get to that point, for now from me, it is sayonara.